Hello there and welcome to another lesson in mathematics. We are still dealing with financial mathematics, and in our last lesson we were looking at calculation of the interest that accrues on the minimum bank balances. We went as far as looking at the effect of the interest that will accrue, and also if the deposits were made during a certain period or some withdrawals coupled with the bank management fees, if any. So in this lesson we are going to move on and look at how to calculate the balances on loans, and this we are going to give it the title calculating the reducing balance on loans. Reducing balance of loans. Let us look at reducing the balance. Reducing the balance of loans. You will realize that if one approaches a financial institution to get a loan, some regular repayments, usually monthly, are supposed to be made for a given period of time to ensure that the loan has been repaid fully. That is one aspect that we should be cognizant of. And also, we should realize that if we have our repayments, that is, the size of our repayments determines the term of the loan. If we have large repayments, simply means we have a short loan term. A short loan term means we repay the loan fully within the shortest time possible. But if we have small repayments, then it means the loan term will be long. But the size of the repayments or the value of the repayments are usually determined by the financial capability of the person approaching a financial institution to have or to get a loan. So this basically is determined by that. In this lesson, we also want to look at how do we determine the balance of a loan at a given time t. Because we know that loans are repaid monthly. Are we able to determine the balance of a given loan at the end of the first month, at the end of the second month, at the end of the third month? In that order up to the last month? That is what we want to look at in this lesson. And in so doing, we are going to look at a certain approach which is called the spreadsheet approach. We are going to use the spreadsheet approach, where we have a loan repayment scheme spread over a wider period, and those repayments are made regularly. So we are going to use this spreadsheet approach to determine the balance owing to a certain financial institution at every time or at every end of a given period. The term might be long, but we want to determine every step of the way to know the balance. And that can also be presented in a financial statement or a loan statement. Using the spreadsheet approach, we can be able to create a statement that will give us the loan status at every end of every term as time continues. Also, in this spreadsheet approach, there is some variables that are looked at keenly. These variables are like the amount owing, the loan balance, the interest, and the repayments. We look at these variables and how they are related. And in that, we will be looking at the amount owing, that is the balance of the loan that is supposed to be paid at a given time t, or after a given period. And this is basically determined by the previous loan balance. The previous loan balance. Before we calculate the amount owing, we need to know how much was the loan balance during the previous time. And this can also be determined by you add the interest. The interest as per a given time before we come and subtract the repayments. So for us to determine the amount that one owes a financial institution, we need to know the previous loan balance, how much is the interest we need to add on that, and then we subtract the repayments at the end of that period to know the amount owing at that time. And if it is the first, or it is at the end of the first period, the loan balance will basically be the principal amount that was borrowed from the financial institution. And this relationship is going to help us create some tables or some spreadsheet to show us the financial statements. To understand this, let us look at an example. We look at an example. This is the first example. If you borrow $15,000 at 17% per year, and make repayments of $260 monthly, $260 monthly. The first question is for us to copy. We calculate the amount, owing, and fill the table below. We calculate the amount owing and fill the table below for 5 months. And the table we are talking about is this one. In the first column, we have the balance. We have the bank balance. We have the interest. We also have the repayments. And lastly, we have the amount owing. This is the amount that is owed to a financial institution. We've been told to fill the table for 5 months only. When we look at this table, we have the column for the balance, the column for the interest, the column for the repayments, and the amount owing. Since the repayments are going to be made monthly, it means, and it is a constant figure, it is a fixed figure that is not going to change, we can comfortably say that our repayments will be 260 every month. This figure will not change. For all the months, we know if the person who borrowed the loan makes a repayment of 260, the loan term will be a bit longer than 5 months. But the instructions that we have from the question is for us to create a table for only 5 months. Since we are talking about a loan that has just been borrowed, or what we have just borrowed, then what will be the balance, the loan balance at the start of the first period? Remember, this term is fragmented into several periods, and each period lasts a month. So during the first month, the loan balance will be the amount that is to be borrowed, which is $15,000. Will be $15,000. Do we know the interest? We don't know the interest. Do we know the amount that is owed during the first period? We don't know. So we need to calculate these two. We need to calculate these two before we come and fill them in this table. So for us to get that, we are going to calculate the interest and the amount owing every month. It is going to be calculated every month, and for that to be achieved, so at the end of, let us have the first month. At the end of the first month, how much will be our interest? How do we calculate the interest? We need also to look at the rate that we are given. We are told this loan is going to be advanced at an interest rate of 17% per annum. And the periods have been fragmented into months. We all know how to make the adjustments on the rates so that they are in tandem with the periods that we have been provided. We covered in our one of our earlier lessons on how to adjust the periods, the rates from the rates per year to the rates per month. That is basically by dividing this. We divide this rate by the number of months in a year, that is 12, for us to get the rate per month. And this rate also can be expressed as a fraction for the purpose of interest calculation. So for us to get the interest will be equal to the principal amount that is borrowed multiplied by the rate, and this rate needs to be expressed in decimal form. Then we divide this by 12 months. We divide this by 12 months. So during the first year, the principal amount is $15,000, and the rates, when we convert 17% into a decimal, we divide by 100, and this will give us 0.17. Then we divide by 12 months. We divide by 12 months. And this will give us a value that is 212.50. This is the interest that will be owed to the financial institution. This is the interest due. This is the interest due. So the interest during the first month will be $212.50. How much will be the amount owed to the financial institution? So the amount owed, or the amount owing, will be, we have already talked about that. This will be the sum of the balance, the previous balance, plus the interest, minus the repayments. You subtract the repayments. You subtract the repayments. And this, since it is the first month, the balance, the loan balance is this amount, the principal amount that was borrowed, and this is $15,000 plus the interest, because when we are making repayments, remember in our earlier definition of repayments, we say that these are the regular amounts of money that are channeled to a financial institution for the purpose of repaying the loan fully. And the repayments, the contents of the repayments were basically the principal amount that was borrowed together with the interests that are accruing. So this, the interest should also be included. And then we subtract the repayments. We subtract the repayments to get to know the exact amount that is owed at the end of a given financial period. And this will give us the amount owed as $14,952.50. There is something that we are going to discover as we proceed, and this amount should be filled here. This is $14,952.50. So at the end of the first month, this is the amount that is owed, or that we are supposed to pay to the financial institution, that is supposed to be recovered from us. So when we move on to the next period, that is the next month, this amount will be our balance here. The balance that should be paid is $14,952.50. And this statement works on what we call the reducing balance. Works on what we call the reducing balance. It works based on what is called the reducing balance. Principle. The reducing balance principle basically talks about interest being calculated based on the balance that is remaining. So during the second year, we are not going to calculate the interest based on the previous balance, but we are going to calculate based on this current balance that we have, which is $14,952.50. So we are through with the first month. We move on to the second month. So during the second month, the interest will be equal to the bank balance as per the second month, which is 14,952.5, multiplied by the rate, which is 0.17. Then we divide by 12 months. We divide by 12 months to get the actual interest for that month. And this will give us this is going to give us 211.80. You can do these calculations using your calculator. 83.83. This is the interest. And our repayment on this month is still $260, so that our amount owing will be equal to the sum of the balance during the month plus the interest during this month minus the repayments. And this will give us during the second month, the amount owing will be $14,904.33. This is now the balance at the end of the second month that we are supposed to pay. So we come to our table and we fill in the interest. The interest is $211.83, while our balance at the end of that month is at $14,904.33. So we are actually through with the second month. We are supposed now to move on to the third month. This process is repeated several times. If one had to borrow money for a duration of, let us say, 26 months, the process is repeated until the 26th month for the loan to be repaid fully. And this has a program, a computer developed program, where you just feed in the values and the computer automatically determines all these variables within a very short period of time. So this is just one of the ways we can do it, but we are doing it manually. So let us move on to the third month and see what we have. During the third month, our interest will be calculated from the sum of the balance from the previous month, and this balance will be brought down here. This is 14,904.33. This is the balance during the third month that is supposed to be recovered. So this will be 14,904.33. We add we multiply this balance by the rates, which are still at 0.17, then we divide by 12 months. We divide by 12 months, and this will give us an interest of $211.14. This is the interest, and we also know the repayments, the size of the repayments. These are still at $260, so that we can be able to calculate the amount owing. This amount owing will be equal to the sum of the balance, which is 14,904.33, plus the interest minus the repayments. And this will give us the amount owing to the tune of $14,855.47. This is the amount. This is the amount owing at the end of the third month. At the end of the third month. We have also calculated the interest, and the interest is $211.14. So we move on to the fourth month. During the fourth month, the interest will be equal to the product of the balance, the bank balance, and the amount owing from the third month will be the bank balance, will be the loan balance during the fourth month. The amount owing from the previous month will be the balance, the loan balance during the preceding month. And from this balance, we can be able to calculate the interest as per the fourth month. This will be the balance multiplied by the rate divided by 12 months, giving us an interest of $210.45, and we still have the repayments. Repayments are still $260, so that our amount owing will be equal to the balance plus the interest, which we have just calculated, minus the repayments, giving us 14,000. giving us the amount owing us 14,805.92. Dollars, and the interest we've just calculated is $210.45, and the amount owing, we bring it down to be the balance during the 5th month. From which we can be able to calculate the interest. And after getting the interest, we can take the sum of that loan, the interest that we will have obtained, then we subtract the repayment for us to get the amount owing at the end of the 5th month. And this will give us our interest will be equal to the balance, which is 14,805.92. We multiply by the rates, which are constant, then we divide by 12 months. This gives us an interest of 209.75. You can confirm these figures using your calculator. We also have repayments during the 5th month, which are still at $260, so that we can be able to calculate our amount owing. The amount owing, which is the sum of the balance, 14,805.92. We add on the interest that we have just calculated, which is 209.75. Then we subtract the repayment, which is 260. The repayments, which is 260, and this will give us the amount owing to the tune of So the interest during the 5th month that is supposed to be paid, which is called the interest due. The interest due is $209.75, and the amount owing is $14,755.67. So this process can continue beyond the 5th month, but we were given strict instructions to calculate or to create this spreadsheet over a period of 5 months, from the 1st month to the 5th month. But we have agreed that this can continue until the loan is repaid fully. And as I stated earlier, that this process is a bit cumbersome. If the loan period is long, let us talk of maybe 10 years, it is tedious for you to prepare a spreadsheet as long enough to cover a period of 10 years. Remember, if the repayments are being made monthly, and in a year we have 12 months, so for a term of 10 years, we are talking about 220 months. So a spreadsheet to cover 220 months is long, and that's why I told you that we have a computer program that can be able to calculate the same within a few seconds. So we are through with the first example. Let us look at a second example. Maybe before we look at a second example, this was the first part of our first example. Let us look at the second part of this question, and that is about Part B, what observations have you made on the amount owing and the interest each month? We need to analyze the information that we have in this table. We are asked to make an observation on amount owing and also we make an observation on the interest due. We make observations on these two variables from the table that we have prepared. When you look at the amount owing was at $14,952.50, but during at the end of the first month. At the end of the second month, the same amount has reduced. The amount owing, the same variable, has reduced to $14,904.33. And when we move on to the third month, it even reduces further to $14,855.47. Same to the fourth month, and lastly, on the fifth month, the amount owing has reduced to $14,755.67. So you discover that the amount owing is reducing as time goes by. So we can say the amount owing is reducing. Is reducing down the periods. The amount owing is reducing down the periods. What about the interest? When you look at the interests during the first month were $212.50. It went down to $211.83. It has even gone down further to $211.14. And during the fifth month, the interests have reduced to $209.75. The interests are also reducing. The interests are also reducing. So when you look, we might be asking ourselves, why are these interests reducing, and why are these amounts owing also reducing? I started this lesson by telling you that this spreadsheet approach works on the reducing balance principle. This is where the interest is calculated based on the reduced balance. Remember, this first interest was calculated based on the principal amount that was borrowed, which was $15,000. From this $15,000 as the principal amount was able to attract an interest to the tune of $212.50. And at the end of the first period, that loan had reduced. After making a repayment of $260, the loan had reduced to $14,952.50. So this new amount, this new balance, is the one that is used to calculate the preceding month's interest. In the next month, which is the second month, the interest reduced to $211.83 because this balance had reduced. And how or why do we have a reduced balance? Because we have a repayment that was made during the previous month. And ultimately, at the end of the second period, which is the second month, the Amount owing reduces to 14,904.33. This amount is the one that is taken to be the loan balance during the third month, and from this amount is when we calculate the interest, and the process continues until we are at 14,755.67. That is the reason why the amounts are reducing. Let us move on to the last part of this question. Part C, we are asked, what is the effect of the repayment on the loan balance? What is the effect of repayments on the loan balance? And this one goes without saying, every time a repayment is made, the loan balance goes down. The moment a repayment is made, the loan balance goes down, because these repayments reduces the amount owing, and when the amount owing reduces, automatically the loan balance during the next period goes down. So we can say the repayments reduces the loan balance. Repayments reduces the loan balance. This marks the end of the first example. Let us move on to our second example and see what will come out of it. We are told John borrowed $20,000 at 15% per annum. And made repayments of $300 monthly. $300 monthly. The first part is for us to create a table of balance, interest, repayment, and the amount owing. And fill it. We create the table and fill that table. The amount that was borrowed was $20,000, and the rates are at 15% per annum. The repayments are $300 monthly. So we are going to have a similar table, but with different variables. We are going to have a similar table with different variables. In this table, we'll have a column for the balance. We will have a column for the interest that the same balance will attract. We will have a column for repayments. And we'll also have for the amount owing. We are told to create the table of balance, interest, repayments, and amount owing, and fill for 6 months. We fill that table for 6 months. For 6 months. And as we had looked at it in the first example, we said that the balance during the first month is the principal amount that was borrowed. In this question, the principal amount that was borrowed by John is $20,000. And the repayments, since they are constant, they never change, we can fill the column for repayments, which are $300 throughout. $300. So we want to know how much interest will this balance attract during the first month, that is the first period. Then we can also go ahead and calculate the amount owing at the end of the first month. So during the first month, the interest will be equal to the balance, the product of the balance, we multiply by the rates. We are told the rates are at 15%, and we say that for us to use those rates, we need to convert them to decimal numbers, which will be 0.15. And since the rates have been given per annum, we divide by the number of months in a year. This will be divided by 12 to give us the interest during the first month. Using our calculator, our interest can be calculated, and this I'm getting $250. $250. And remember, we also have the repayments. We also have repayments. Repayments are $300. And using these two figures together with the balance, we can be able to get the amount owing. The amount owing will be equal to the balance, which is $20,000, plus the interest, which is $250. Then we subtract the repayment, This will give us $19,950. 19,950. Remember, we've just calculated our interest and it is $250, and we are getting our amount owing us $19,950. And we agreed from the first example that that amount owing is the balance during the second period, that is the second month. This will be brought down here, so that from this reduced balance, we can be able to get the interest that this balance will attract, so that if we add that interest to this and then we subtract the repayment, we can be able to get the amount owing at the end of the second month. During the second month, our interest will be equal to the new balance, the product of the new balance, and the rates divided by the number of months, and this will give us a reduced interest of $249.38. So we have our interest and we can come and fill it here. And if we have this interest together, the repayment and the balance, we can calculate the amount owing. This will be equal to the balance plus the interest minus the repayment. Which will give us $19,899.38. So our amount owing will be $19,899.38 to 2 decimal places. And that amount owing will be brought down here to be the balance during the third month. So that with our new balance, we can be able to calculate a new interest. The new interest will be calculated from this balance. Let us see what we will get. This is during the third month. Interest will be equal to the new balance multiplied by the rates, divide by the number of months to get the interest per month. We have a reduced interest, and this interest is 248 from a previous one is 248.74, and our previous interest was 249.38. You can already see the trend. The interest is reducing, and if we have this balance, this interest and this repayment, we can be able to to get the amount owing. This will be the sum of the balance, which is 19,899.38, plus the interest minus the repayment, monthly repayment. The amount owing will be 19,848.12. That amount owing will be brought down here as the new balance during the 4th month. And using this new balance, we can be able to calculate the interest during the 4th month. This interest will be equal to the product of the balance during that month, which is 19,848.12. You multiply by the rates and you divide by the number of months to get the interest per month. This will give us an interest of $248.10. We come and fill our interest here, $248.10. Then we calculate the amount owing. And this will give us our amount owing will be 19,796.22. This should be filled here. The same amount that should be brought down to be the balance during the 5th month. And the same amount that is used to calculate the interest during the 5th month. During the 5th month, interest will be equal to the product of the new loan balance you multiply by the rates, you divide by the number of months, and this will give us $247.45, so that we can also get the amount owing from the same, and this amount owing will be 19,796.22 plus the interest 247.45 minus the repayments. This will give us $19,743.67. We have calculated this interest to be 247.45, and this amount owing we have is 19,743.67. Bado ngapi? The same amount that should be brought down here to calculate to be the balance during the last the 6th month. Of course, it is not the last one, because we can only call it the last when the loan is fully repaid. So we use this new balance to calculate the interest. The interest that should be added on this balance, and then we subtract the repayment to get the amount owing. So during the 6th month, the interest will be equal to that is the interest during the 6th month. This interest, we can fill it here. So with this loan balance, this interest accruing on this loan balance, and a repayment of 300 during the 6th month, are we able to get the amount owing? The answer is yes. We simply take the loan balance, which is 19,743.67. We add on the interest that has accrued on the same balance, then we subtract the repayment, and this will give us the amount owing as 19,690.47. So at the end of the 6th month, you will discover that the loan balance will be 19,690.47 from the initial loan that was borrowed, which was $20,000. The next part of this question is asking us to comment on the trend of the amount owing and the interest due down the table. Part B is for us to comment on the trends of the amount owing and the interest due. We comment on the amount owing and the interest due down this table. Just like in the previous example, when you look at the amount owing down the table, the amount owing is reducing. The amount owing is reducing from 1 month to the next. And also when you look at the interests are also reducing from $250, and during the 6th month, the interest is 246.80. So the interest is also reducing. So we can authoritatively say that the interest is also reducing from the first month through the preceding months, that is periods. So having looked at these two examples, I hope you have understood how the loan is repaid through the reducing balance, through the spreadsheet approach, so that we have a reduced balance, and as a result of that reduced balance, we get, it attracts a reduced interest. And with a constant repayment, you discover that the amount owing also reduces through the months, from the first month, which is the first period, to the last period. I will still remind you that this process is a bit tedious if done over a long term. That is why we are encouraged to use the spreadsheet, which is a program in our computers. And I hope you've understood this concept. And I now want to give you an assignment, just a single question that you can use to gauge whether you have understood the same concept. In this assignment, we are told a person by the name Phil approaches a financial institution for $18,500 loan. At 16% per annum for a certain period. For a certain period. The repayment terms were $255 monthly. Part A, create the table create the spreadsheet table and fill it. Part B, how is the amount owing and interest changing? How are these two variables changing, the amount owing and the interest? Lastly, it can be observed that the loan balance is reducing. It can be observed that the loan balance is reducing. What causes the reduction? What causes the reduction? So with this question, I hope you'll be able to go through it. And I want to invite you to our last lesson in financial mathematics, where we'll be looking at changing parameters. And what are the parameters? The amount, the principal, the rates, and even the periods. We will be looking at when one of the parameter changes, how does it affect the other parameters? Thank you and welcome.